Culion, is a province of Palawan, is typically called the last ecological frontier of the Philippines due to its vast amounts of untouched forest and coastlines. Palawan has an abundance of natural resources and is rich in flora and fauna biodiversity. Specifically, its coastal and marine ecosystems are inhabited by 379 species of corals, 13 species of seagrass and 31 species of mangrove, while its terrestrial habitats are home to 69 species of reptiles, 26 endemic amphibian species, 279 species of birds and 58 species of mammals. 35 of mangrove forests in the Philippines are located within Palawan. Mangrove forests are a vital ecosystem that are habitats for multiple floral and faunal species that enrich biodiversity. Culion is a third-class municipality in the province of Palawan, Philippines, and according to the 2020 census, it has a population of 23,213 people. It was a former leprosarium under the American Commonwealth of the Philippines. It was only in 2006 when the World Health Organization officially declared Culion as leprosy-free. We see that Culion was isolated for nearly 100 years, and this isolation has had adverse effects on the dynamics of Culion. Due to Culion's prolonged isolation, the natural habitat remains in pristine condition. Culion is slowly becoming known as a potential tourist spot. Also, the island is considered as one of the last pieces of treasured diverse frontier of nature, as well as having one of the richest histories in Palawan. Up to date, the group of islands still in unclassified forest, infrastructure development in the municipality is not much advanced, unless there is more efforts of the private developers. Nature has maintained its pristine and pure natural beauty. The island has been tagged with a lot of titles such as A Lost Paradise, Culion, The Island of No Return, Traveler's Sanctuary, A Home to Locals, Tagbanwas, and A Monument of Undying Drive of the Human Nature and History. People can derive that the island is such a reservoir of nature's beauty. Since then, the municipality is seeking to be comparable to other first-class municipalities in Palawan, seeking the great opportunity in the tourism industry. And what is e-NIPAS Act? The policy of the state to secure for the Filipino of present and future generations the perpetual existence of all native plants and animals through the establishment of a comprehensive system of integrated protected areas within the classification of national park as provided for in the Constitution. Its goals are: 1. To maintain essential ecological processes and life support systems. 2. To preserve genetic diversity. 3. To ensure sustainable use of resources found therein. 4. To maintain their natural conditions to the greatest extent possible. The timeline of legislation: in 1932, the establishment of national parks, for game refuges and other purposes, was ratified by RA 3195. Long after, PD 705, which is the revising of the Forestry Reform Conde of the Philippines, is done in 1975. Shortly after, Executive Order 192, or the creation of Protected Areas and Wildlife Bureau, is done in 1987. In 1989, Resolution No. 37 states the Philippine Strategies for Sustainable Development. In 1991, Local Government Code was ratified in RA 7160. And finally in 1992, NIPAS Act was established, or the National Integrated Protected Areas System. 1995 is the year when Executive Order 263, or the Adopting Community-Based Forestry Management, and RA 7942, the Philippine Mining Act, was established. 1997, the IPRA, or Indigenous Peoples' Right Act, was ratified. And in 1998, Fisheries Code of the Philippines was coded. In 2001, 4 laws was enacted. A 9072, the National Caves and Cave Resources Management Protection Act, the RA 9125 Northern Sierra Madre Nature Park Act, the RA 9147 Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act, and the RA 9154 Mount Canlaon Nature Park Act. 2005, Joint AO 2005-01, Guidelines for Bioprospecting in the Philippines 2007, Joint MC 2007-01 Management of Overlapping PA and/or their Buffer Zones and Ancestral Domains, Land 2008, DAO 2008-26 Revised IRR of NIPAS Act of 1992, and in 2009, the Climate Change Act was finalized and ratified under RA 9729 in 2011, Executive Order 23 or the total log ban, natural and residual forests, was enforced. 2015, Fisheries Code of 1998 was amended by RA 10654, and lastly, the RA 11038, or the Expanded National Integrated Protected Areas System Act of 2018 was established. Which is the focus of this study. Having this long list of protective and management laws that have been passed by the government, still a lot of illegal land conversion, dispersal of communities, mismanagement of properties is happening, regardless who's in the seat of power. Furthermore, green labels and eco-tags are being used as masks the development and projects which are not. This is where this paper rooted from. Could be the aggressive implementation of the e-NIPAS of 2018 can help the municipality achieve its economic growth without exhausting its natural resources. Could the preventive measure of establishing e-NIPAS Act in Culion pave the way to preserve its beauty and be passed on to the next generations? Could the community participation be a solution to a more inclusive development for the area? The objective of the study is to make Culion an e-NIPAS covered area and help achieve its municipal's economic goals by establishing ecotourism spots in land areas where land use and land cover change is minimal. 1. Sustainable experience ecotourism development through land use and land cover change aims to achieve sustainable experience through generations. It was suggested that there are 4 dimensions in sustainable experience, which are 1. Natural environment interaction, 2. Cultural environment interaction, 3. Insights and different views, and 4. Local-based activities. This 4 is only achievable through ecotourism. Second avenue for education. One of the goals of ecotourism is to basically educate its tourists about certain causes concerning the environment. It is an unconventional type of learning and interaction with nature and community. It is stated that ecotourism is an opportunity for professional and personal growth education. It can help inculcate values in the audience that will spark serious commitment in social and environmental issues in the coming years. 3. Elevation of the status quo. Tourism has always been the backbone of the economy in Palawan due to its undeniable natural beauty and cultural communities. Culion, however, a third-level municipality, is looking into possibilities to boost its economy through responsible tourism, or can be identified as ecotourism. Ecotourism is considered the fastest-growing market in the tourism industry, according to the World Tourism Organization, with an annual growth rate of 5% worldwide and representing 6% of the world gross domestic product, 11.4% of all consumer spending, not a market to be taken lightly. 4. Proper execution. This prototype of development, study, and professional practice and implementation of laws can be the benchmark of other units, not just in local situations but more so in global settings. The study encourages future research and management to integrate sustainable concepts and dimensions to holistically improve everyone's professed experience, value, and destination. The framework here is Culion, a third-class municipality who aims to be a first-class municipality just like the other uprising municipalities in Palawan. But in order to achieve that, Culion must bank on tourism. A tourism development that has a lot of environmental impacts. In construction of new hotspots, new accommodations, new land use. These developments have brought to attention since it creates a list of danger, not only in human lives, dispersal of communities, but more so to the ecological systems, loss of biodiversity, and threats to food security, energy consumption, and pollution contribution. Here comes the proposal of ensuring that Culion is under the bureaucracy of e-NIPAS Act of 2018, then also follows the ecotourism guidelines of Department of Tourism and Department of Environment and Natural Resources. The expected outcome, Culion can still achieve its economic goal of being a first-class municipality without exhausting its natural resources, damaging its properties, and mismanagement of its land by the preventive measure of implementation of e-NIPAS Act of 2018 following the ecotourism guidelines of DOT and DENR so to achieve development with minimal damage to environment, attracts tourists at its finest, and sustainable development for the next generations. The practices that needed to be considered. Community-based monitoring system. A system where information on human development is collected, processed and analyzed on a regular basis in shared responsibility by communities and local government units of Palawan. Public-private partnerships. Several initiatives wherein the government tied up with private organizations in preservation and in management of the areas. Sustainable ecotourism. There are several ways that Culion has been practicing in order to preserve its natural beauty and resources. Determination and indicators. Oral and written documents. Both formal and informal documentation would be needed in conducting these dialogues since not all participating parties have formal education and the capacity to understand the written documents. A one-page list of potential areas of conflicts and agreement shall be done as well as part of the practice. The single text document then becomes a jointly developed product, owned by all those who have participated in the resolution. On the other hand, informal documentation includes verbal agreements and reports. Since Culion is composed of different groups and walks of life, different levels of understanding, knowledge, and skills, it is better to educate everyone on the policies that are being proposed so that everyone will have mutual understanding. There are a lot of policies ongoing, but not all are being implemented and fitted well. Key indicators. Active data dissemination. Information campaign. Public access to information of partners, projects, and fundings. Networking data improvement. Key efforts. Maintain as much resources as possible. Improve low-maintenance tourism efforts. Harmonious community-tourist relationship. Preserve the cultural diversity and traditions and knowledge. Conclusions and recommendations. Culion has been doing proactive efforts in educating and coordinating with the local community its programs in order to improve their quality of life. Since Culion falls in the ecotourism development area of DOT and DENR, it can result to an unexpected and unreversible outcome which had happened to Boracay. Proposal to limit the future developments of tourist spots in Culion will manage the land conversion and will decrease the negative impact of the development in the environment. Enhancing the community participation in the consultations for the developments will result to better management of the development. Incentives policy to the local business and private sectors to promote more ecotourism efforts. Maintain the carrying capacity cap off for all inbound tourists to maintain peace and order in the community, and to maintain the less to undisturbed cycle of the ecosystem. In the creation of comprehensive and land use plans, areas shall be determined according to the disturbance impact it will create when classified to another developmental criteria. With this, land use change is done properly and still achieve the goal. Inspection of the developments shall be done rigorously in order to monitor and control the negative impact of these to the community and environment. Finally, educating the inbound tourists with the efforts of the community and make a covenant to pass it on will create a ripple effect to echo the call to preservation of natural resources. the last frontier for meaningful journeys. Culion offers an experience whether beyond land and seascapes unravel hidden tourist spots to explore. A beauty that goes beyond the surface and springs forth, form the very heart and soul of a hidden community. An island once forgotten, forsaken, and feared, Culion finds itself at the forefront of the Philippines' first eco-volunteerism destinations.
Each and every one of us can actually contribute to the betterment of the place we live in, as emphasized that our micro efforts will have a macro effect to save our planet, our home, our Earth.
Here are our resources. And thank you for listening.